opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning. FNM leader Michael Pintard pledges a commission of inquiry into alleged corruption involving Bahamian law enforcement and government officials. Pintard says he's not going to back down on calls for transparency into the government's LNG contracts. And the health minister concerned by the uptick in reported suicides. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
It's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be here. Also this morning, we're going to be talking with the founder and technical leader of two aerospace startups about what we need to be thinking about in regards to space tourism and a whole lot more. That's coming up. And later in business, we're talking about Campus, the Performing Arts School, everything you need to know this morning. That's all ahead on this Wednesday. But first, it's time for the Overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, FNM leader Michael Pintard pledging that if his party is elected to government, his administration would call a commission of inquiry into alleged corruption involving Bahamian law enforcement and government officials. Pintard referencing the indictment by the United States last November of 11 Bahamians accused of conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States, possession and use of firearms, and firearms conspiracy. Pintard at an FNM public meeting at CV Bethel Senior High last night, saying, quote, "As I want you to know, as I take my seat, we are prepared to fight with you and on your behalf. They're afraid to call a commission of inquiry. We will call a commission of inquiry because we want to know who the public official is who was getting this $2 million. That indictment alleges that in or about September 2024, now former Chief Superintendent of Police Elvis Curtis told a trafficker that in exchange for $2 million, a high-ranking Bahamian politician whom Curtis named would authorize the assistance and involvement of Bahamian law enforcement officials, including police force officers, in facilitating cocaine shipments. Curtis is one of the Bahamians charged in relation to cocaine trafficking. The official opposition has repeatedly called for a commission of inquiry given the explosive allegations contained in the indictment, but last November, Prime Minister Philip Davis said the government decided against calling a commission of inquiry because it's too expensive. The FNM leader also saying he's not going to back down from demands for transparency and accountability over the government's recent awarding of contracts to Shell and Focal for the construction of an LNG plant. He said that certain, quote, big shots want to tell him to, quote, shut the hell up. Saying last night, quote, "We come here to serve notice on the All For Me baby group of people so that they know that your days are numbered. There is a song that says poor people are fed up. I want you to know that the middle class is also fed up. I want you to know that wealthy people with a conscience are fed up. That's why we know that this government is a bad, unrepentant employee and we will fire them." Though he did not call him by name, Pintard was referring to Focal Chairman Sir Franklin Wilson, who recently criticized the opposition leader's demands for details on the LNG agreements. Sir Franklin told the Tribune that Pintard's comments disturbed him, saying that there was little of substance in his comments. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says that he's concerned by the reported uptick in the number of suicides and reported suicides and attempted suicides for the year so far. Darville says there is a shortage of psychiatrists, but that the ministry is preparing to create 41 trained mental community health nurses in various communities as a means to reduce the pressure. Darville also addressing the work the ministry is doing with Sandlands to monitor and treat patients before they are brought back to the community. He said the ministry plans to develop an app that allows people to receive mental health assistance virtually. Energy and Transport Minister JoBeth Colby-Davis assuring that the Bahamas will not be impacted by the Trump administration's threat to impose a 25% tariff on countries that purchase Venezuelan oil. She said that BPL purchases all oil and lubricants from Shell or their U.S. trading company. And she says, based on reports by the U.S. Department of Energy, the countries that seem to be the target include China, the U.S., Spain, Asia, and Russia, and others. A bus driver has been accused of having sex with an underage girl. Prosecutors allege that Markinson Petithomme had unlawful sexual intercourse with a 15-year-old girl in October 2023. Petithomme was not required to enter a plea to the charge of unlawful sexual intercourse when he appeared before Assistant Chief Magistrate Carolyn Vogt Evans. He was granted $9,000 bail with 2 sureties. While on bail, he will have his movements tracked by an ankle monitor, and he has to sign in weekly at a police station. The matter has been adjourned to June 23rd for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. And a retired prison guard will remain behind bars as he awaits trial for attempted murder after a judge refused to reinstate his bail. 67-year-old Jeffrey Sherman is accused of shooting his now former girlfriend, Bridgette Ingram, on August 23, 2023. His $20,000 bail was revoked in March 2024 after he violated his bail conditions by stalking his alleged victim. Sherman was barred from coming within 100 feet of Ingram, yet he repeatedly showed up at her church, glaring at her. Ingram's pastor reportedly had to provide her with armed protection. Despite previously flouting his bail conditions, Sherman said that he would obey the court's order if given a second chance. Sherman's trial is scheduled for later this year. Overseas, Ukraine is ready to proceed with a ceasefire prohibiting attacks on energy infrastructure. That's according to President Volodymyr Zelensky. That's in line with the deal that was brokered by the United States during 3 days of negotiations with Ukrainian and Russian officials in the Saudi capital. Speaking in a video address late Tuesday, Zelensky said Ukraine had agreed with U.S. negotiators that a ceasefire for energy infrastructure can start as soon as possible, but he warned that any strikes on Ukraine's energy facilities by Moscow would draw strong retaliation. The comments underscoring the tenuous agreements that came out of the 3 days of separate U.S., Ukrainian, and U.S.-Russian talks. Washington said it had agreed with the warring parties to implement a pause on attacks on energy infrastructure, as well as taking steps to ensure safe navigation for ships in the Black Sea. Those talks were part of a broader effort toward a limited 30-day ceasefire that Moscow and Kyiv agreed to in principle last week, but has thus far failed to materialize as both sides continue to launch drone and rocket attacks against each other. Wind-driven wildfires that were among South Korea's worst ever, ravaging the country's southern regions, killing 24 people, destroying more than 200 structures, and forcing 27,000 residents to evacuate. The death toll included a pilot who died after a helicopter crashed during efforts to contain wildfires in the southeastern town of Useong, one of the hardest-hit areas. The aircraft had no other crew members. The National Fire Agency said at least 26 other people sustained varying degrees of injuries. An ancient Buddhist temple, houses, factories, and vehicles were destroyed in the wildfires that have burned 43,300 acres. In a televised address, South Korea's acting president Han Duck-soo said the wildfires that began last Friday were the worst so far. And weaning Caribbean countries from their dependence on Venezuelan oil and combating illegal immigration will top Secretary of State Marco Rubio's tour of 3 Caribbean nations this week, a visit that comes as the Trump administration is increasingly focusing its attention on the Western Hemisphere. The State Department says Rubio will push for the region to diversify its energy supplies when he visits Jamaica, Guyana, and Suriname starting today, just days after U.S. President Donald Trump announced new sanctions on and threatened tariffs on all goods imported into the United States by other countries that buy oil from Venezuela. Another main issue for Rubio will be the situation in Haiti, where a multinational peacekeeping force has been in place for months, struggling to prevent gangs from taking over the country. Rubio spoke Tuesday with the president of Kenya, which is leading that force, although the State Department account of the call made no reference to Haiti. In a conference call with reporters Tuesday, Trump's special envoy for the Western Hemisphere did not offer details on what the Republican former Florida senator would suggest on Haiti policy. Rubio has extended waivers on all overall U.S. foreign aid freeze to continue to fund the security force in Haiti, but it remains unclear how long they will last. In sports, the World Athletics Relays returning to the Bahamas for a 5th time. The country is set to host one of the biggest relay meets in the world, and for the 2nd consecutive time, it will be a qualifier for the Olympics. The World Athletics Relays Bahamas 2028 is set for April 23rd and 22nd and 23rd, 2028 at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium. The first 3 editions of the World Relays were held here, of course, 2014, 2015, and 2017, and the global spectacle returned to the country for last year, 2024. No other nation has hosted the World Relays more than once. After successfully hosting 4 of the first 6 editions, the B3As says it will, with support from the government through the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Culture, decide to put together a bid for the 2026 edition. But World Athletics announced on Monday that the 2026 edition will be held in Botswana and the 2028 edition will be back in the Bahamas, scheduled as one of the early international meets that year. There's more details in today's Guardian Sports section. And the Bahamas is represented by a 5-member team at the 2025 World Masters Athletics World Indoor Championships currently going on in Gainesville, Florida. Timothy Munnings, a former Olympic relay bronze medalist and World Championships relay gold medalist, is set to contest the men's 55 to 59, 200 and 400 meter events. In the outdoor championships last year, he won gold in the 400 meters and bronze in the 200 meters. Munnings is the men's 55 to 59 world record holder in the 400 meters outdoors. Joining Munnings on the team are Brian Humblestone, who will compete in the men's 85 to 89 60 meters. Natasha Brown will compete in the women's 55 to 59 long jump event. Miriam Byfield will compete in the women's 35 to 39 200 and 400 meter events. And Mike Armbrister is scheduled to compete in the men's 65 to 69 400 meters and long jump events. Humblestone got the action started for the Bahamas on Tuesday, competing in a straight final of the men's 85 to 89 60 meters. Running out of lane 1, he finished 5th in 12.63 seconds. Amazing. Read more about it in today's Guardian Sports section. And from the NFL, Russell Wilson has apparently agreed on a 1-year contract with the New York Giants. That's according to a person with knowledge of the deal speaking to the Associated Press. The person speaking on condition of anonymity because the signing hasn't been finalized, but saying that Wilson's deal is worth up to $21 million with $10.5 million guaranteed. The Giants signed veteran Jameis Winston to a 2-year contract last week and have the 3rd pick in next month's NFL draft. They went 3-14 in 2024 and released 2019 first-round pick Daniel Jones during the season. Before signing Winston and Wilson, Tommy DeVito was the only quarterback on the team's roster. The Giants the playoffs in 11 of the last 13 seasons since Eli Manning won his 2nd Super Bowl following the 2011 season. Shedeur Sanders is a possibility for the Giants with the number 3 overall pick. With Wilson and Winston ahead of him, Sanders could be eased into a starting role for the 2026 if New York selects him. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather, brought to you by Star General. We've got a lot going on. We've got a severe weather watch in effect for the central Bahamas until 3 p.m. today, and a gale warning in effect for all areas beginning Friday and into next week. More on that in a bit. But for now, a mid-level trough continues to generate unsettled weather across the central and southeast Bahamas, while high pressure is drifting eastwards across the country. The moist, unstable air mass will trek southeastwards through Thursday, maintaining the potential for severe weather across the southeast Bahamas as we head to the end of the week. A strong high-pressure system will build and drift eastwards behind that trough, and strong to near gale-force winds, dangerously rough seas, and sea swells will be the major weather feature as we head into the weekend and for the next few days. So there's an elevated risk of flooding from heavy and prolonged rainfall events in low-lying and flood-prone areas across all areas. And there's a slight risk of rip currents along eastern Atlantic coastlines and the southeast, especially in the southeast Bahamas. Beachgoers and swimmers should exercise caution. For today, for the northern Bahamas, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny conditions, only about a 10% chance of isolated showers, as you had to deal with this yesterday. Winds northeast at 10 to 15 knots. For us in the northwest Bahamas, New Providence and Eleuthera, cloudy during the morning hours, becoming partly sunny by the afternoon. Still only about a 10% chance of isolated showers. Winds northeast at 10 to 15 knots. It's the central and southeast Bahamas that will be seeing a lot of the action today. Cloudy to overcast, fair tonight, a 50 to 80% chance of scattered showers and widely scattered thunderstorms. In any event, Inagua will still be partly sunny today, fair tonight. Winds northeast at 10 to 15 knots, gusting at times. Temperature-wise, we're looking at highs around 82 Fahrenheit for the northern and northwest Bahamas. That's about 28 Celsius. Overnight lows now getting down to the upper 60s, maybe as high as 70 even. It's about 19 to 21 Celsius. For the central and southeast Bahamas, highs around 84 Fahrenheit, 29 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have more on what to expect over the next few days coming up in our next weather check. This weather check brought to you by Star General, insurance made simple.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up.
You are listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. Guardian Radio 96.9.
It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Planning for retirement can be overwhelming, but with CFAL, it doesn't have to be. We offer tailor-made individual, group, and pension solutions that take the guesswork out of retirement planning. Whether it's for you or your company, don't leave your future to chance and let the trusted hands of CFAL's experts guide you toward peace of mind and financial stability. Low upfront costs and affordable monthly payments make it easy for you to build wealth so you can live well. Visit us at cfal.com to start on your path toward financial freedom. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
With RBC,
Your ideas become plans.
Your plans become memories.
This is retirement.
And your dreams become your life.
whether it's planning that family vacation, owning your dream home, or retiring comfortably, your ideas are everything. And RBC is here to help make them happen. With RBC, your ideas happen here.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic Eckert battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Nassau Tile is celebrating 95 years in business by giving you 20% off store-wide. Catch the sale on all tiles, thin set, grout, mosaics, and more. Save up to 30% off select wall tiles and 30% off ceramic and select mosaic and backsplash tiles. Our experts will guide you in selecting the right tiles. Visit Nassau Tile on Doswell Street or call 322-2100 to make your dream space a reality. Don't miss the marvelous March anniversary sale from March 24th to 29th. Follow Nassau Tile on Facebook and Instagram for more details.
Looking to elevate your gadget game or a tech trouble simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Caves Village, or call 396-1100.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line, powered by BTC, 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Here today on this Wednesday, we are going to be talking with Dr. James Jason Murray, founder and technical leader of two aerospace startups. And we're going to be talking about space tourism, SpaceX. Well, he's not affiliated with them, but he has some interesting insight into what's happening and what the potential looks like. We're going to find out more from him. Later in business, we are going to be talking with the project leader from CAPAS, the Performing Arts School. All the details, all the things you want to know. Yesterday, people had a lot of questions, and we will see if we can get all those answers today. So that is all straight ahead. But let's begin with what else is in the news. And in the news, the F&M holding a public meeting last night. Public meeting, they may call it a public meeting. They had a gathering. And some big talk from the F&M leader. He's pledging a commission of inquiry into all the allegations of corruption involving Bahamian law enforcement officials. And he's saying he's not going to back down from the calls for more accountability from recent deals the government's made, especially one of the most recent ones, the LNG plant involving Shell and Focal. Let's begin with the Commission of Inquiry. Chester Robards, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
No, you didn't. Oh, this man. Okay, inside jokes. Arcadia Dames. Oh, boy, this man. Candia Dames writing about this today. Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard last night pledging that if his party is elected to government, his administration would call a commission of inquiry into alleged corruption involving Bahamian law enforcement and government officials. Pintard referenced the indictment by the United States last November of 11 Bahamians accused of conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States, possession and use of firearms conspiracy. Pintard, speaking at the F&M public meeting at C.V. Bethel Senior High School, saying, quote, "I want you to know tonight, as I take my seat, we are prepared to fight with you on your behalf. They're afraid to call a commission of inquiry. We will call a commission of inquiry because we want to know who the public official is who was getting this $2 million. What $2 million, you ask? Well, the indictment alleges that in or about September 2024, the now former Chief Superintendent of Police, Elvis Curtis, told a trafficker that in exchange for $2 million, a high-ranking U.S. Bahamian politician, whom Curtis named, would authorize the assistance and involvement of Bahamian law enforcement officials, including RBPF officers, in facilitating cocaine shipments. Curtis is one of the Bahamians charged in relation to cocaine trafficking. The indictment made no further mention of any government official getting $2 million, and there was no evidence noted to support Curtis's claim that an official was prepared to help facilitate drug smuggling for the payment. That's a very key point that we keep stressing there, right? But everyone wants to know if there really was someone that he named. Who was that person? The name of the official Curtis reportedly referenced was never revealed, but the claim from him as contained in the indictment fueled numerous calls for a name to be released. As far as many Bahamians are concerned, the mention of a public official was evidence enough that a corrupt official was involved in facilitating cocaine smuggling. The official opposition has repeatedly called for a commission of inquiry, given the explosive allegations contained in the indictment. But last November, Prime Minister Philip Davis said the government decided against calling a commission of inquiry because it was, quote, too expensive. Davis said at the time, quote, "We've examined the commission of inquiries, and it is an extremely expensive exercise, and at this time, we don't have the resources to spend on such an inquiry." To deal with the challenges of our people, and that is where we are focused right now. That's what he said. It sounded weird then, but it's even weirder now when you read it all these months later, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, so much. After the indictment broke last year, Pintard made an initial call for a commission inquiry, saying, quote, "We know that the transshipment of drugs and arms through the Bahamas cannot be facilitated by law enforcement alone. It has to be facilitated by a wider group of persons who have the authority in different sectors of our society. That's why a commission inquiry is important." Yeah. Well, all right, so get your reaction to that. We'll get to the other story in just a bit, but let's hear from you on this. Should they keep pushing this? People are still saying they want to know who this person is. Who did he name? Again, he might have just been name dropping. It might not be real, but it would certainly be interesting
and
to know what he's saying.
What information has the government gotten since the Prime Minister said he asked the Americans?
That's right.
No update on that, yeah.
They've not said a word about that. It's like they want us to forget. But what are they telling you? Are you getting rebuffed every time you ask?
They've been having other conversations.
Apparently.
About Cubans and other things.
Mm-hmm. Let's hear from you. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, call.
Hey, good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to Chester, and good morning to the Bahamas. Hey, Dwight, listen, man, don't brand me as no political supporter, man. I ain't no political supporter of Dwight. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Good. But that said, right, let's move forward.
Well, we'll see by what you say. But anyway.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dwight, that's what I would say, right? Have you ever considered, like, the children of Israel when they were in the wilderness, going around and around for 40 years? That's how I feel about the Bahamas, Dwight. Honestly, this political thing between these two parties, which are one, the Bahamian people, we need to cut this out, because this is why Mr. Pintard, respectfully, he can say what he wants to say, and the people are right for telling him he needs to be quiet. Because Dwight, I can remember under the FNM, certain MP, high-ranking MP, got road project to pave all the roads. Why they didn't give it to some other Bahamian companies? So we need to stop this playing this game. The LNG project is going to benefit the Bahamian people, give us lower electricity or whatever. Then stop bashing things that's going to benefit. Because if they were in power, dealing too, and they would have secret deals too, like we all know. So we need to stop.
All right, so you see why we have to call you that, right? Because that's a little wild where you're going. But also, this is what we were asking last week, and Chester's right. He could probably give some more insight into this, maybe, because this is very similar to the deal that was made before the last administration was kicked out, but except for one thing, right?
Similar?
It's similar, isn't it? We're the similar company. Except for suddenly Focal's in here.
Probably all the similarity there is.
But yeah, well, what's the? Is the deal not outside of the Focal addition? Is it very different?
So what we don't know right now is, so before there was going to be a kind of joint venture between Shell and BPL, in essence, the government, right, to own both the power generation and the terminal. We are talking about LNG, right? to own both of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Bahamian people would have been able to buy a stake in it.
Right.
So remember, we were supposed to be able to invest.
Yes.
In Terminal Co. and I think Power Co.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they've not said anything about that, so that's off the table. We're not going to be able to invest in that. the Bahamians who will be invested in that are the people invested in folk oil.
Right.
And folk oil themselves.
So that's a big difference. One of the glaring big differences.
That is the glaring difference. There's a part of that former deal where the average Bahamian could participate in and get dividends eventually from their power generation. But
yeah.
That's not there.
So, caller, I mean, you heard that? So you were going to be able to potentially have lower bills and be able to invest in the company directly.
Right.
And now that's changed.
Yeah,
we got a big company in there.
Yeah.
And yes, people have shares in that company, but it's not the same thing.
Correct. And we also don't know, but we haven't gotten the full breakout of the relationship between Shell and folk oil. And who's building what, who's building the terminal, the pipeline, who's doing all that stuff. Who's actually funding it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So the way looking at this, caller, is a little odd. And some might say a whole lot odd. But if that's all you care about is the lower bills, then that's fine. Great. Good for you. Caller, good. You want to say something else?
No, there's a lot more to know about.
We need lots of questions. And that seems to be with everything, right?
Yeah.
And we noticed, and you were there, right?
Yeah.
At all?
No, nobody mentioned
at all.
Pike during
Is
that.
Pike still a thing?
I mean, Pike is supposed to be handling our distribution, so I don't know. I guess we can store up what we generate. Chariot and wheelbarrows.
Interesting times. Need a commission inquiry into this. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strong. Good morning, Jester.
Hi, good morning.
You know, Mr. Strong, what was that last call out about?
I'm trying to figure it out.
I won't call him a fool because he said something that was very true, that we're meandering round and round and round. So even a fool realized that he's stagnant and nothing is happening, right? But, Mr. Strong, I saw a young lady the neighbor taken into custody. Her son just had a little joint, and she got in an argument with some officers, and they decided that she has two young children, and this outweighed the scenario of just maybe a gram or two or whatever. So this is really, and this is the abuse of power, right? Up to this hour. Now, with Oitzley, right? You guys, did you? We heard about the plane loads and these things, these shipments, and nobody went to court. And we also heard about the Sonny Miller case paper, but it was on the third page or obfuscated in some kind of way. You didn't hear the final adjudication, and everybody should know who Sonny Miller is. But what I'm saying then, one would be an imbecile to believe that this officer was a lone wolf. You see what I'm saying? And so the fact that the status quo will always have the last say. It's hard to really get to the truth. To the PM statements, hello?
Yeah, we're
You're
listening.
saying the truth is expensive then, Dwight.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I guess you can interpret it that way.
Yeah, but George Orwell is correct. And so they're allowed to obfuscate and do what they want for decades. We used to read the punch, and we see where certain families would be exempted and be given notices as to what's about to take place in Audis. And we got various prominent people being caught in the United States. And there's so much different things that you wouldn't even know. If they catch someone's son who live in Laipiki with an ounce of weed, you think they can put that in the newspaper, right? They had my name in the newspaper back in the 90s for 3 grams of weed. These people still talking with 2 and 3 grams of weed. Dwight, when will the Negroes catch themselves in this last half, man, this last quarter, man? Why are we so pathetic mentally, man? Bless up.
Okay.
And mash up your travel to the States when you go on the record.
Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, caller. Are you there?
Right.
Turn on your radio for us, please. No.
Morning, yes, hello.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning, Chester.
Good morning.
Dwight. You know, got me cracking up inside. That's what he's calling about you. Dwight.
He's made it worse.
Me cracking up.
Worse than ever.
Lord Jesus. I almost forget what I call you for. Hold on. But listen,
boy.
Chester.
Yes, sir.
What's happening, man?
Right here.
Listen, right. You don't believe anything what these politicians say anymore?
Depends.
Because if I remember correctly, Michael Pintar was there when minister got his instruments of appointment from the Governor General and his administration and said that if you do anything, you lock up. Y'all remember that? When Minister said his government is corrupt, this government corrupt, and he locking up anybody who do anything out the way. Well, so much for that. If Pintard is serious, then I got ice to sell to the people of Onion Corn, Russia.
Okay.
I can sell them ice.
Thank you very much.
We can't believe nothing these people say. Because we really obviously don't know exactly who was involved. And when he get there, it could be the same thing. Same thing. So I got ice to sell to somebody. Anybody who need ice, call GNN, please. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks a lot. And this call before we get to your text messages.
Around here. I don't know. Sell us some sign. Tell us some sign.
What color is the ice? That's my issue. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, the ice is red. Good
Oh,
morning.
dear.
It's yellow. It's yellow.
It's one of them.
Yellow. It's yellow.
It's a combination. It's orange.
It's orange.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we got a lot of ice to deal with. Maybe we look through a prism. But, Dwight, you know, I appreciate Mr. Pintard's alleged or apparent innocence. I don't know if he is that innocent. But I wish him luck in what he's pursuing to do. But I guess he can continue on that path. But once he gets a visit from the red-eyed creatures, his innocence will be defiled.
I don't know who those are.
Think about it.
There's just so many people that could fit. So many people fit into that. But okay.
All right.
Do they have horns? I don't know what you're saying.
Well, no, I'm just saying join Masonry or Rosicrucianism, and then you may see exactly. He can only go so far. That's what I'm saying.
Oh dear. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So let's get to before we take any more calls and read any more of your messages. So this is the other story, the LNG, which we brought up a little bit, but this is what he's saying about this. You might have seen the Tribune last week where after he called for more transparency and information about what's happening with the deal and why Fokal's in it, Franklin Wilson. So Franklin telling the Tribune that he was disappointed by Pintard's comments and thought they lacked substance. So Pintard saying last night that he's not going to back down for calls for transparency and accountability, while all the big shots, his words, tell him to, quote, shut the hell up. So he said, quote, we come here to serve notice on the All From Me baby group of people so that they know that your days are numbered. There's a song that says poor people are fed up. I want you to know that the middle class is also fed up. I want you to know that wealthy people with a conscience are fed up. That's why we know that the government is a bad, unrepentant employee, and we will fire them. Wow. Okay. All right. What do you make of that? I think that was the equivalent of trying to tell him to shut up. Sir Franklin.
I'm sure.
Sir Franklin said that he was disturbed by his comments.
I don't know why he would be disturbed.
Well, if you analyze this is what Sir Franklin told the Tribune. If you analyze the statement, the little he said, there was nothing of substance. So Pintard has questioned why Fokal was awarded the contract without a public procurement process, saying, quote, the government are awarding contracts to big shots. One of them attacked me just recently in the newspaper. I think he missed the point. The point is we signed up for public life to represent the Bahamian people. We want to do the maximum good for the majority of the people and to give all Bahamians an opportunity to compete and achieve something special in their life for their children and their children's children. I didn't come into public life to help the oligarchs get even richer so that they can tell me to shut the hell up while they cut their deals. That's not why they signed up. That's not why what they signed up for. We signed up to create a shareholding society where multiple Bahamians have an opportunity to buy shares in the very assets that they've been paying for generations for. So when it comes to BPL, this is no private investment for a small group of Bahamians. So how dare folks who are so arrogant, whose bellies have no bottom, how dare they get angry when we raise the question about if there was competitive bidding? How dare they? We don't care how much money you have. We ain't scared of none of y'all. We're asking you to have a conscience. We're giving major contracts, not 1, 2, or 3, but multiple contracts using our resources as a country. And most of you here tonight, most PLPs at home tonight, they didn't even give you an opportunity for certain parts of the BPL privatization where you could even buy in. Privatization, interesting word being used there. They want you to go to the rally and cheer while they give away assets of the country that you don't have an opportunity to buy any shares in. Wow. This word's there.
Yeah. I mean, it's all fair. I mean,
people were saying this last week.
It's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair.
Yeah. This is a big concern.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get your reaction. A previous call says he doesn't believe anything would change if they did get in, and that we'd see the status quo continue, basically, as has been the pattern for many, many decades here, sadly.
Yeah. You know, if politicians didn't run into roadblocks that we may not necessarily know about when they get into office, then maybe we wouldn't be so jaded. But you could almost kind of down 5 reasons later on that you won't be able to do what he said.
Yeah.
He
said
he would do.
Can you want to say 5 on the air?
No.
But just like when you get in, they say, "Come here, folks." Come into the secret room, and then they open the door, and there's this giant light.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is why.
This is why
do
exactly.
I get it now.
No, it's true, and you know, it's not like some of them haven't already seen that light, but they gotta put their best foot forward.
So, what would happen to the one who says, "I don't care, this is not going to work, and we have to change it"? What will happen to them? Are they just going to be ostracized, kicked out, eradicated? They
kind of kept quiet.
Well, they tell you what, you're not getting a cabinet post. You're not going to do backbench. And
I've had young politicians who like had first terms, and they were like, and they had nothing but the best interests for their country and their constituency at heart. And then they realized when they got in their seat that there's just nothing you could do, because the system itself is set up to keep you quiet and keep some other kind of machinery running that keeps us where we are.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's running the machinery necessarily, to be honest, but you know that it's around because people have written about it. And, you know, these things are said. And confessions of an economic hitman kinds of stories, you know what I mean? If you've read that book.
Disturbing. So what are we going to do? We're just going to accept it? That's how it is?
No,
or can we...
We could hope that we eventually get a leader who does not bow to those pressures and those things, and who cannot be bought nor sold. Is that a lyric? Eventually,
well, hopefully it's not just one person.
Place.
Hopefully there'll be a group of people who feel that way.
But yeah, right.
You know?
But you
because they will cut that one down.
You know that in some circles you have to play ball, because we cannot live insularly in a democratic nation state without playing ball with other nation states who want stuff from us, and we got the lower hand.
You know, I mean, okay, yeah, we can understand that, but when you go in there promising the people who voted for you that you were going to do this because this is going to be better for you, and you do the complete opposite.
Well, I hope somebody eventually
really hard
says
for us to trust you.
I hope somebody eventually gives us the real reason why. You know, say it. Like for 20 years, this person has had their knee on our neck, and you know, we've been trying to break away, but this is what it is. So bear with us. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. But we know it exists. We know it exists. Like he mentioned, oligarchs, they exist. And they run things. They ain't the government.
Next day, I have to leave politics for personal reasons. And you'll never hear from them again.
Absolutely. It happens.
My gosh. Let's take these calls really quickly. We've got to go to a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Michael Pintard. This speaking up now, and when he talked about those oligarchs, we know there was to grow up with relatives and nephews of the person they put in place to cut the deal with the LNG. You see, in reference to this commission of inquiry starting to call for, you know why? You know those guys who up in New York, who they say start the thing like Canary and cut some sort of deal in the news a couple of days ago?
Uh-huh.
Well, you know, they said that probe was started in May 2021, right?
Yes, we remember.
That's before the government came to power. And we all from Crooked Island know that would have covered time with that King Air. They went to Parliament last year and threw $2.5 million of our taxpayers' money. Where is that King Air? What's the registration number on Bahamian registration? And what happened to our $2.5 million? Another thing, why is the inspector still on the force? And what happened to Sergeant Campbell, who busted the load, hasn't been rewarded and recognized?
Okay, this is getting specific there. I don't know the names of some of the people you're calling, but investigations are ongoing.
Well, I mean, what is going on with our airplane? Is it being refurbished?
We haven't heard anything about that in a long time.
Yeah.
It's a couple things we haven't heard about in a long time.
The people's plane. Where is it?
Plenty investigations were launched, and we've never heard the end of it, going back many years. So we don't know what that's about. Every time you ask, I'm like, oh, you got to focus on something else. It's not a priority right now.
They got a wooden shelf with some dusty books on it, boy. Cobwebs.
They put that in a box in the back room. And no one has the key to the room anymore.
That same room with
where they lead the
gonna
people?
make. I mean, no. I'll make reference to like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the room where they put the Ark at the end. That big. Anyway,
I see it. Wow.
See it.
Boy. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, just because the probe goes back there, that doesn't mean the activities only started. They've been the way things have been operated for many decades.
Probably.
So let's not pretend. Let's not pretend. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Dwight,
Hi.
sorry for calling back right quick, GNN. Let me tell you why the Riddler say I got rainbow-colored ice to sell to the Bahamian people if they believe what Pintard said. Pintard, he's a playwright, right? He's two of them players, boy, he good at that. But when it was time for the Davis administration to repeal the Sovereign Wealth Fund Act that would have benefited each and every Bahamian, where was Pintard? What did he vote? Did you hear anything from him? No, because he voted for the repealing of the Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. In other words, that means the Bahamian people gets nothing. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, all right. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Good morning, my boy Chester.
Good morning.
You know, Marvin Johnson, he carried my title. See, Dwight, I can tell you all this one more time. Let's go for both PLPs and FNM. The most school, they hate the real Bahamians.
Wow.
They hate us.
Hate.
And I can say what Marvin say, right? Mr. Christie became the prime minister after my good friend, but Hubert Ingram. He never repealed the landhold and act back. Dog didn't do it. Now I'm the brave, they have the chance to do it. My Bahamian children, my fourth generation Bahamian children, who born in the island of New Providence, Canada, afford to buy the poor people they born and go. It's like for foreigners come and get crown land free. Get everything in this country free. The government don't give me $1. I don't drive no government car. If I get a job contract, fine. I finish my job on time and bid in budget. These people hate the Bahamian people, but I keep telling you all the right eye on the ground. And look, the only way things happen in this country, like Selene Pendleton said, if we don't fight this country, then we don't deserve to have it. Someone's willing to fight, someone's ready, we watching everything, The hogs and dogs on that parliament, but we watching you all. You all trying to get away. Share this belt. Share the belt, because I'm taking these things. That's what I got to say this morning.
Okay. All right.
He said foreigners come in the country get things free, but I say just as bad as they get it easily.
A couple more calls before we go to the break. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Chester.
Good morning.
Doing well.
You know, Chester, you made a very poignant point. You know, Howard had Lincoln Bin on the other day on his show, and he explained exactly how the party system works. Once you get in there, and according to the former Attorney General and Chairman of the FNM, Mr. Carl Dudley, said that your vote is mortgage to the party. And I feel that is not right. And the COI is reporting that, yes, we are a coalition of independent but individuals thinking and so on and so forth. The line came on later on, and he talked about the whip and why there is a whip, which I don't agree with. Because if you have to whip somebody into submission, like they say, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. And if I don't agree with something, I should have the right to abstain or to let my views be known. When the VAT thing was being debated and those MPs viewed their opinion, they were...
Okay, so we get it. We're running out of time. So here's the thing. We could fix this very easily. There are other systems that we could adopt. And we're expecting people to have...
Which system is that, right?
There are all kinds. You can make whatever one you want. You can make it so that people are...
Who is going to take it?
Do you want it? We can do it. We can...
Who is we, Mr.
We, the Bahamian people.
When are we going to come together as a people?
Well, I don't think many of us want it. I know I want it. Sounds like you want it. But we need to get the other people to understand there are other systems where
Right,
you...
we can't get local government.
No, see, that's if you keep talking like that, we'll never get it, right? That's how all of you, everybody's so defeatist all the time and always so negative about everything. We'll never get this. This will never work. We know how that used to be in the 80s. It'll never happen now. That kind of talk has us where we are now. There are many other systems. You could create a new one if you want, where your vote in the House will matter, and where the House representatives are not in the cabinet. That would change this country greatly. But people are because of exactly what Chester talked about before. Because if that came about, the country would change, and a lot of people don't want this place to change. It works perfectly the way it is for them. If you wanted to change, we can do this.
But we're having the wrong conversation first. And maybe that's where he was going with this.
Yeah, but he's saying that he's like, it's never going to change. I'm not saying that.
I think maybe where he was going was there's a mindset of the people, of the voters, that has to radically be changed. They have to understand that, again, the system that they vote for, that they go to rallies for, that they beg for jobs for, that this country cannot continue to survive under this kind of system, and that they're not going to be better off for it. Every 5 years they're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Every other 5 years, as it has been. Right. And but they have to see a route out, and they have to survive in the midst of it.
Yeah.
That's the difficulty. Surviving in the midst of it.
So if the party that you are attached to doesn't think that the system needs to change, well, then you need to change, right?
Yes.
You need to change, as in they don't represent what you believe in.
Correct.
Find one that does. And if it doesn't, you be the change. Find like-minded people.
Have they even thought about what they believe in?
And that everyone's going to have to do their own research. We can help you. We can do more shows on the different types of systems where people in the House are not beholden to the leader, and they can vote their conscience and vote for what's in the best interest of the people they represent, with no fear of any retaliation. Those things happen in other systems.
Yeah.
And that where the leader of the party doesn't determine whether they run for office. That can happen. But we have this weird little nonsense going on here where a couple people have too much power and have a say in every single thing and get in there and don't change the one thing at all because they get comfortable and this is going to work for my supporters who give us lots of money.
And work for them.
And then tell you, oh, well, this is just the way it is. No, it doesn't have to be like this at all. We're not in cement here. It may feel like that because certain people want you to think that.
Yeah.
But we could fix this place. if you're really serious. But what most people want is to get in on the right side of the people in there and get some contracts and get comfortable like them. Yeah. That's what they want. They don't really want to fix the country. Just fix their bank accounts.
That's it. And then coast for 5 years till the people back in.
So until you change, there will be no change. Let's go to the break. We'll pick this up on the other side. We've got a whole lot of your messages to get to and lots of calls, folks. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
With RBC,
your ideas become plans.
Your plans become memories.
This is retirement. And your dreams become your life.
Whether it's planning that family vacation, owning your dream home, or retiring comfortably, your ideas are everything. And RBC is here to help make them happen. With RBC, your ideas happen here.
It's time for your first look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. Find your loan solution with RBC. Got to look at your hotspots this morning, as usual. Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic for you. Well south of the Fire Trail roundabout, into almost to Carmichael with the heavy traffic this morning if you're heading northbound. And you're going to see that near Fire Trail and especially on the way to Tonic-Williams-Darling Highway. Heavy northbound traffic for you. Tonic-Williams-Darling Highway has seen some heavy traffic westbound at this hour as well. Blue Hill Road busy for you from St. Vincent straight up to Independence Drive, especially near Carmichael, which is backed up eastbound to Blue Hill. And on the southern end of Blue Hill, you're going to be seeing heavy traffic, especially on Cowpen Road eastbound and Zion Boulevard westbound to the intersection with Blue Hill and South Beach. Then we've got Independence Drive seeing heavy westbound traffic at this hour. And north and south of the intersection with Soldier Road, East Street, seeing some slow-moving northbound traffic right now. Over on Glaston Road, you've got heavy traffic just north of Fire Trail on the way to John F. Kennedy Drive and West Bay Street near Saunders Beach. Slow-moving eastbound traffic as you approach your Providence Highway. We're back with more Morning Blend after the news. Morning Blend traffic.
Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Crash when we're switching lanes. My love's beyond the pain, but if I miss the break, we're dancing in the flames. It's indescribable. Everything's faded, we barely made it. The fire's raging, but you're still beautiful, and it's amazing, 'cause I can taste it. Our final odyssey. Oh, I get to see your face. Crash when we're switching lanes. My love's beyond the pain, but if I miss the break, we're dancing in the flames, dancing in the flames. Just like that, just like baby, we'll never be the same. Let's end this love.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. All right, so we continue our conversation. Big talk from the F&M leader about pledging for a commission of inquiry if the F&M is returned to power, saying that he's not going to back down on calls for transparency about the LNG deal and any of the other deals that the government is making, and hitting back at people who've criticized him over the past few weeks. So we're getting your reaction to all of this, and we've got a lot of your text messages to get to. We'll get back to the calls in a bit. So with the LNG deal, phone call now in the middle of this, somebody texting to say that when a middleman is involved in any company, inevitably costs rise. Without the middleman, costs would be lower. Do you believe that's the case here, Chester? Do we have any evidence to know what's what here? Will we see savings, but not as many savings if there is this middleman here?
I don't know. I don't understand, because I don't understand the relationship between, because we are calling them the middleman, but I don't understand the relationship between them and Shell.
And as you pointed out in your article, which you took note of last week, the Shell representatives at this contract signing or the announcement last week didn't answer any questions, and they didn't address the room. They didn't make a presentation at all. Nothing
at all, which is not surprising of Shell.
Wow.
But I must say that they talked a lot when they were negotiating under the Free National Movement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why they're so quiet now.
No. But Focall spoke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Said a lot.
Yes. A lot.
Maybe they're serving as a translator.
Who does?
Focall. Oh, boy. Some text messages. Person says here, Dwight, tell the FM to go sit down. We heard this talk before. We know one will be jailed. Huh? Now, what now? It's just a bunch of recycled talks. Don't fall for talks, people. Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem is, because of the system we have, that's all you're going to get until they get in the seat.
Talks? But what they're saying is that when you talk now until you get in the seat, but when you get in the seat,
yeah, but how would you know?
Too busy.
How would you know if the talk is genuine or not until they get there?
Because they're going out on what we've seen over 50 years.
But again, though, you're saying you have no hope.
I know.
But you don't know what their performance is going to be until they perform.
That is true. But
playwrights,
if you go
playwrights do.
If you go on what we've seen before, when they get in, they'll say, well, we're in now. We can't believe the state of things, how things are when they left for us. And we have so much to do. That, unfortunately, will have to be on the back burner for now as we have bigger priorities. We've got to get this country straight. We've got to get things in order. And then before you know it, it's another election season. And nothing was addressed.
Yeah. I hate to put it this way, but in some ways we need a Donald Trump.
You really should hate to put it that way, because that wasn't the way you needed to put it. You mean somebody who's willing to upset the apple cart and change things.
That's what I meant. But
hopefully for the better.
It paints a more interesting picture.
You could have said no. In fact, I want to ask you to leave the studio now. But but not just change for the sake of change.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. That often the change is just because.
Yeah.
We got our own Donald Trumps around here. We got some that would make Donald Trump cringe. But anyway, what does too expensive mean? This is back to the PM talking about commissions of inquiry. State the price and let the people decide if it's too expensive. Stop covering for these criminals wherever they may be. Interesting. Yeah. How much is a commission of inquiry?
How much is a commission of inquiry? And can you tailor it so that it's not so expensive? Is that possible?
Anything's possible. This person says here, if the intent of the commission of inquiry is to eventually prosecute and jail persons and root out corruption, then I'm all for it. But if we will only get jokes and cute phrases, like I cannot recall, like we did with the 92 Commission, then it's a hard pass for me. You remember that? I cannot recall. I think there was even a song about it. Mm-hmm. Don't take this political statement. That's back to that caller from earlier. Right. This person says here, what Pintard has expressed would be beneficial. However, many of us would rather hear him commit to FOIA implementation, commit to forensic audits of all past and present government officials, implement immediate mandatory jail terms and fines for officials. Immediate and mandatory jail terms for and fines for officials that fail to declare their financial status in the required time. Oh, okay. And how many people do you think would be so anxious to get into politics then? Crackhead games and more words. I don't know if I like you all using that phrase so often. And
right? Yeah. People use that a lot, eh?
Because of that person. They're willing to say...
Go ahead.
They're willing to say every and anything to swing the people to get power. The same things he's accusing the POP, they will willingly do the same to get power and say anything and hope it sticks. They're always calling Frankie Wilson's name with this LNG deal, but F&M and PLPs are in this deal. These politicians really think we're stupid.
You know what always brings me back to how Bahamian politics run. Remember when the Green Party, I don't know, my brain
DNA?
just lost it. Yeah, that damn people. When they were first in and Granville and they were talking about Bamboo Town and Prime Minister Ingram gets up and he says he ain't taking my things nowhere, and then he tells Perry Christie, who's across the floor, and if I don't have it, you will have it.
Yeah.
And he started laughing.
And so said, so done, right?
So said, so done.
Yeah. My goodness. Wow. That first caller, I can't even remember now, is a PsyOps officer. And they're running on about some old story, which we won't read on the air. But yeah, somebody who's doing cocaine, dealing with cocaine and blah, blah. Old stories in the 80s. I don't remember. That was ages ago now, but okay.
No, the one who's calling names, that caller.
I don't think anybody was. Not that one. But that was 6 of them. I can't remember now. While I agree that the POP and the F&M have been doing almost the same nonsense to the Bahamian people over the past 50 years, I think people need to give Pintard the benefit of knowing that he was not the leader of the country at any time. We have now seen the others, and let us see if he is the one to alter the course of our destiny by finally setting the country on the right trajectory.
And I thought that he was an okay job as Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries. Like he was like he seemed to be trying to line things up, right? But never pulled the trigger on them in a meaningful way, right? So there's that.
Okay. It feels like is that the end of the story? Okay, I feel like you were going to say something more.
But because people keep kind of like, oh, you was there last time, but like he was kind of focused on his portfolio, right? And again, the system doesn't allow for them to.
We could say that about the last two prime ministers. They were they were cabinet ministers, and it wasn't me. I wasn't the prime minister, but yet, did things change much when they did get the opportunity?
Depends on what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Why would the government not allow for an RFP for the new LNG terminal? Why would they give Crown land to the new hotel in Sampson Key? And why have they not given an update on the arbitration between the government and the GBPA?
Boy, they soon could be answering questions on that Crown land stuff for that Sampson Key thing.
Wow.
A lot.
Has anyone considered that maybe Michael Pintard voted the way he voted because he had no choice? There we go again. Perhaps now he can speak more clearly and be more accountable because he's the leader. So many young politicians are mowed down by the system. And they're calling some names. The system will never evolve unless it changes. Well, this is what we said, right? Yeah. The Sovereign Kingship Constitutional Administration has a new government system that can fix this country. We will be presenting soon at a symposium. Is this a joke or what's happening here?
That's all. They didn't give any more information.
Sovereign Kingship Constitutional Administration.
What is that?
That I think it's a joke. I'm never disappointed because I never vote. That's a text. Well, that's insane.
That doesn't make sense.
That's very silly. I know one thing. It's not as expensive as the travel budget. Oh boy. This person says here. Oh dear. That's crazy. I want to beg the public this morning if you can donate your time, money, or food to the Red Cross. They sound like they really care. Well, always. Okay. All right. Why hasn't any media outlet had a one-on-one sit-down with the Prime Minister? Elections next year, and not one media outlet did it. He hasn't gone to any radio stations to take the questions. You're asking the questions as if the media caused that. Are you serious right now, Texter? Are you from here? Are you new? What's happening? You think, we never thought of that. We should try to. Yeah? Okay.
Is that what they said?
Oh, that's a real thing. What is that?
Either that or
what?
Either that or there's a virus on my phone now.
Let's take some calls really quickly. We don't have much time. You can call in 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Chester. Good morning to Dwight of Bahamas.
Good morning.
Dwight, all you have to do, like what Chester said, right? All you have to do is look at Mr. Pintard's position, the positions he held, where he operated with transparency, accountability, integrity. He showed his thing for anti-corruption. He gave access to freedom of his home. They will continue as he moves into the position of Prime Minister in 2026. But I do believe, and I must say, I do support his position where he said to guarantee the future of the Bahamas, we must collectively create it, and that we need to move towards a shareholder society, to which I add sustainable, inclusive opportunity and ownership economy. But when you looked at what has happened with Shell and everything else, Shell take the position that if I say anything, I get nothing. And so you sit there and you take what was given to you as opposed to what you rightfully had positioned to before somebody else inadvertently inserted themselves. But it's amazing that what you will do is you will have a vendor take the position that they do not support transparency, accountability, integrity, and freedom of information, when they actually, as part of a party that promised that these are the things that they will provide for us. Now, when the Prime Minister talked about too expensive, is he talking too expensive relative to the $75 million a year travel, or the $70 million a year private consultants, or the $72 million a year that he spent on new hires? I don't know relative to that, or is he talking about another? But what happens is what you're seeing now. It's a twisting of reality. Even with GNN trying to sell the rainbow ice, he's gotten that from that political party that even would scare Donald Trump. So he could just take it back and put it in the Coalition of Independence freezer. But what we have to do is we have to look at the fact that we had a non-competitive bidding that took place. We have been arguing for these things. And Dwight, just to interject, when you talk about governance, believe it or not, right, it says you can manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure what you're incapable of comprehending. So but I'm saying is that when you hear people talk about changing, not wanting the system changed, they don't understand it. But even for you take for the Constitution where it says 9 people, minimum of 9 people for cabinet, you could put a law in there right there, limiting cabinet. The Constitution doesn't prevent that. So there's changes that can happen within this hybrid system that we use, but we've never taken the position to educate people. But I say to people, change will happen in 2026 under Michael Pintard, and just hold on.
Yeah, is he going to limit the size of the cabinet?
So very soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of questions. You're right. But sadly, I don't think people choose to try to find out because they just want to be able to benefit from what they're seeing right now. And that is one of the biggest problems we have in the country. But it doesn't have to be like this, as we've said. It doesn't have to be like this at all. All right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to have an interesting discussion about space tourism, the potential things that we need to be concerned about. And later in business, we're talking about Kappas, the Performing Arts School, everything you need to know about it. We've got ahead. Stay with us. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
We scream. I don't even want to do this anymore. 'Cause you already know what you mean to me. And our love's the only war worth fighting for. Wherever you go, that's where I'll follow. Nobody's promised tomorrow. So I'ma love you every night like it's the last night. Like it's the last night. If the world was ending, I wanna be next to you. If the party was over and our time on earth was through.
Here's a price list of some of the roofing material we carry at Pinda Enterprises. 5/8 pressure-treated roofing ply starting at $36.68. Grace Select Water Shield, $134.20 a roll. Felt, 15 pounds, $16.50. 30 pound, $19.80. Owens, Corning Duration Shingles, and Certain Teed Landmark Shingles, $56.56 a bundle. Gallon of roof cement, $33.47. All sizes treated dimensional lumber. And of course, we have all nails and all screws. We have 5/8 sheetrock, $28.76. Half-inch sheetrock, $22.18. All prices include VAT.
In the world of business, technology is not a choice, it's a necessity. And for businesses that demand excellence, there's only one choice for unparalleled support and cutting-edge technology. Custom challenges and we have solutions. Computing, networking, storage, and printing for enterprises large and small, aligned with premium brands like HP, Microsoft, Konica Minolta, and more. Get tech done the right way with custom computers. Call the know-how team at 396-1101.
Spain sounds like this. But with a little Caribbean, it can sound like this. The world needs more Caribbean. And with FedEx, you can ship your products to every corner with increased cargo capabilities, 24/7 shipment tracking, and shipping tools. Take your business worldwide and enjoy life a bit more like us.
What if I told you Wendy's has a new burger? With a flavor so secret, it's almost too delicious to handle. Well, now it's time to unlock that flavor. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger. We can't tell you everything, but we can tell you that it's packed with flavor, including our secret barbecue sauce. Try the new sweet and smoky barbecue cheeseburger today. Available for a limited time.
Spring is in the air, and so are the rewards. The Water and Sewage Corporation wants to thank you for staying on top of your bills. When you pay a bill in full, you'll be entered for a chance to win one of 3 Easter baskets filled with exciting surprises. Pay in full before your due date. Complete the entry form, and you'll be entered to win. Visit our social media pages for details. Hop to it and win with the Water and Sewage Corporation. Hurry! Offer ends April 17th.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Are you ready to indulge in the islands of the Bahamas? Take off to TCI, hop over to Havana, or fly to Florida. No matter the destination, jumpstart your journey with Bahamas Air, the national flight carrier of the Bahamas. Take advantage of our frequent flyer program and exclusive hotel and car deals. Book your flight now at bahamasair.com or visit your local ticket sales office in Nassau or Grand Bahama. Bahamas Air, we don't just fly here, we live here.
It's time for your final look at weather for the morning, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. We've got a severe thunderstorm watch and warning in effect until 9:40 a.m. The thunderstorm warning is in effect for Mayaguana and Inagua in the southeast. Thunderstorm watch in effect for the Turks and Caicos Islands. So the Department of Meteorology says that they're expecting showers to be locally heavy and thunderstorms to be strong to severe at times, causing strong gusty winds, dangerous lightning, heavy downpours, possible hail, and possible waterspout activity, and maybe even tornadic activity as well. Localized flooding possible during the passage of these storms for the southeastern islands. We saw a lot of that yesterday in the northwest and central Bahamas, and there is still a severe weather watch in effect for the central Bahamas until 3 p.m. today. So we've got a mid-level trough that continues to generate this unsettled weather across the central and southeastern islands now, while high pressure is drifting eastwards across the country. The moist, unstable air mass is going to move southeastwards through Thursday and maintain the potential for severe weather over the southeastern Bahamas for the next couple of days. A strong high-pressure system is going to build behind that, and that's going to bring some strong to near gale force winds into the weekend. That's going to be accompanied by dangerous rough seas, sea swells, and that should continue into the weekend, into early next week. So for today, though, as we're behind all of that, ahead of the high-pressure system, we're looking for partly to mostly sunny conditions for the extreme northern islands, a bit cloudy during the morning hours for us in the northwest Bahamas, but becoming partly sunny by this afternoon. But for the central and southeast Bahamas, cloudy to overcast, turning fair tonight for most of those islands. Temperatures today look for highs near 83, 84 Fahrenheit. It's about 29 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 70 Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. In your extended outlook for tomorrow, Thursday, partly sunny during the day, becoming mostly fair at night, with a few partly cloudy during the day, becoming mostly fair at night. And into the weekend for Saturday, partly cloudy across the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly sunny in the central and southeastern islands. And for Sunday, partly sunny during the day, becoming partly cloudy at night. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Dull walls bringing you down? Well, Sherwin-Williams has the cure. Don't have your place looking toe up. Get that glow up with the superior quality of Sherwin-Williams Paints. And your final look at traffic brought to you by RBC. Find your loan solution with RBC. We're still seeing that heavy traffic on West Bay Street near Saunders Beach, eastbound near New Providence Highway. Keep that in mind if you're there. And then again, you're going to run into traffic as you're heading into downtown, just east of Arawak Key, near Nassau Street, heavy and slow-moving eastbound traffic this morning. Milo Butler Highway, still heavy traffic for you, and it's looking really awful, actually, from all the way at Carmichael, straight through the Fire Trail roundabout up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. This is heavier than usual. And Faith Avenue looking pretty awful for you as well, northbound to Carmichael, and that whole junction there, Carmichael, Faith Avenue, Milo Butler Highway, heavy, slow-moving traffic. Not a pleasant place to be. Your alternate routes are looking slightly better. Gladstone Road, just north of Fire Trail, is where you'll see the slow-moving traffic if you're heading northbound. And Blue Hill Road's busy for you as well, from just north of St. Vincent, almost to Fire Trail if you're heading eastbound. And Blue Hill will be busy for you all the way through to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Independence Drive, both directions, heavy, slow-moving traffic. North and south of Soldier Road on East Street, slow-moving northbound traffic as well. Not a pretty sight this morning. And then there's Prince Charles Drive from Beatrice Avenue straight through to Robinson into Marathon and East-West Highway, heavy, slow-moving westbound traffic. Your alternate routes of Eastern Road and Bernard Road not looking much better. Also seeing bumper-to-bumper slow-moving traffic this morning. You will need your patience. Good luck to you. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC. Start a conversation at rbc.com/loan/all of you.
Slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. And this morning we are going to be talking about space, space tourism, aerospace, all these exciting things that Bahamians are talking about a lot these days. And we're very pleased to have with us somebody who has a very exciting background. A startup founder, inventor, mentor. He's a Chief Technology Officer, Chief Engineer, Dr. Jason Murray. Great to have you with us. Good morning. Great to be meeting you.
Good morning. Yeah. Okay, nice to be here.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into these discussions.
I'm a Bahamian, born, bred, and maybe G'day eventually in the Bahamas. And I've born at Princess Margaret Hospital, raised at in Xavier's, St. John's College.
Okay.
Go Giants. Okay.
Wow.
And I went to College of the Bahamas at the time, which is now the University of the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Chemistry, maths, biology, all of that. And then I went away to England to do aerospace engineering.
Wow.
So I studied there.
And that was something you always wanted to do?
Oh, man. Ever since I was probably 1 year old, etc., I've always been fascinated by aviation, by things that fly.
Mm-hmm.
That's evolved into those things that go into space, go into the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted to do aerospace engineering, and I ended up learning how to design and build rocket engines.
Wow.
Okay, and that manifested in also designing of launch vehicles. So I know the operations of rockets, launch vehicles, launching satellites, all of the satellite technology that's out there.
Did you ever encounter anyone who felt that somebody from the Bahamas has no business being involved in this?
Well, in your introduction, you said, we're going to talk about space,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And never in my wildest dreams did I believe that we would be talking about space in the Bahamas from a practical perspective.
Oh.
Okay, so I had to leave the Bahamas to go and pursue my dream of, developing rockets and being a part of the of that unique group of people who want to get us, as a species, out into the universe, step by step. So me coming back to the Bahamas and talking about space and actually talking about space applications in the Bahamas is pretty remarkable.
Yeah,
in terms of my career, full circle.
Indeed. Yeah. Wow. All right. So you've been at the helm of 2 startups.
I have.
Explain that to us
Okay.
and how they come to be.
Well, let me do that quickly. So I started working for other companies. Okay, I worked for a big French propulsion group. Okay, where I was part of the teams that designed the rocket engines that go on the European launch vehicle Ariane, which is really one launch. There's a part of me in that.
Oh wow!
But as soon as I got enough experience, I said, well, I could do something better. And so I formed my own company. We called it Booster. And the idea was at the time, I don't know if anybody remembers Virgin Galactic, the space tourism stuff. Okay, they were going to put a lot of citizens, into space. It was kind of a joyride. It's like 10, 15 minutes up and down.
Right.
Okay, but you got to this weightlessness, free fall, see the curvature of the Earth, and that was supposed to be a stepping stone of democratizing space a lot more. So it wasn't just astronauts that had that. And I thought, well, okay, if Virgin Galactic are doing something like that in the United States, why not do something equally good, even better, from a European perspective? So I set up a consortium all around Europe, many companies that were masters of their own particular piece of the technology, got them to collaborate, and even got some of the American companies involved. And we were putting something together around about 2010. Now, there was a lot of financial crisis. It was very difficult to get the investment. And, I'm not Richard Branson. I'm not Elon Musk, so I can't just, snap my fingers and get $1 billion. Kind of hard. And so that didn't develop how I expected it to. But once I realized that there were a lot more of these philanthropic or these internet that had made their money, and now we're dedicating it towards space. And so we'll talk about, Elon Musk, for example. He made his money initially in PayPal. Okay, and you have Jeff Bezos, who, the Amazon guru, and both of them now have dedicated 15, 20 years to their own space companies. So once they were working on the transportation side of things, well, I thought, well, the missing part is the destination. Okay, because you're going to take people to the moon, you're going to take people into space, you're going to take people to Mars. What do you do when you get there? So with a couple of other co-founders, we founded a company in Los Angeles called Off-World, where we were going to, and we are, developing artificially intelligent industrial robots that you would load into a rocket. They're small enough. You load into a rocket, you send to another world, and they would prepare the terrain. Okay, they would dig up the resources, mine the water, make oxygen, get water in place to grow plants. Wow. Okay, so that by the time the astronauts, in inverted quotations, get there, they have something to eat and a place to stay. Okay, I'm not going to give an astronaut a shovel and as they land, tell them go dig for your survival. Okay, they're extreme environment robots. They have to be artificially intelligent because they got to make their own decisions, and so it's kind of everything coming together. We've got artificial intelligence, all the autonomy, all the capability of that, as well as the industrial robotics that are now developing, and kind of piecing that all together.
Yeah.
Wow. Your bio mentions drilling for water on the moon.
Yeah. Well, so this is an amazing thing. When the Apollo astronauts went there, more than 50 years ago, they were mostly around the equator. They dug a couple of holes about 6 feet deep, okay, and they determined that the moon was pretty barren. There was nothing there. And then about 25 years ago, there were some space probes sent by the United States. One was called the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and that had something called a neutron spectrometer on it. And what they did is they scanned the moon, and they found that inside some of the craters in the North Pole and the South Pole, there is ice. And it's not just a little bit of ice, collecting like a frost. Right. Okay, there's billions of tons of water ice there. So all of a sudden, in our nearest celestial body, which is really our gateway to the universe, we've got a way station, a waypoint with plenty of water. Because water is the miracle material. Okay, you can drink it, you can grow plants with it. So there's you can make food from that, but also you can electrolyze it into hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen and oxygen are the best combination of rocket fuel you can find. So now I've got a gas station on my way to the universe, and of course the oxygen bit. If I don't want to burn it, I can breathe that.
Right.
So all of a sudden, miraculously, we found this this gas station, this waypoint, on our way to the universe, and it's just waiting there for us.
Wow. Is the idea to eventually start to launch from the moon?
The whole point, getting off the Earth, getting into space is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why us engineers work really hard at doing it. And once we get off the Earth, you kind of used up most of your fuel. Okay, so you need to replenish yourself before you go elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so we're talking with Dr. James Jason Murray. You mentioned the names before, Musk and Bezos. These are very wealthy people.
Yes.
So the average Bahamian listening to this might be thinking, these are rich people's games. Why are we even mixed up in this? What are the benefits, potential benefits of all of this space tourism to this country and to the average Bahamian?
So I'll start with the benefits to humanity, okay, and then we'll talk about the benefits to the Bahamas, because we're part of this human experiment on the Earth. We humans, since we left the Rift Valley in Africa, have been wanderers. We've been explorers. We've been adventurous, and through that exploration, that hardship that we've encountered, we've been inventive. And so all of our technology, all of our developments have come from this inherent ability to overcome adversity through our invention.
Yeah.
And this is what happened when Europe expanded into the New World. There was a huge inventiveness, a huge development. Changed the course of humanity. Okay, the opening up of the Americas. That was the frontier 500 years ago. Today, our is space, and I think that as soon as we go beyond just the astronauts, an astronaut flight is so very well planned. There's not a lot of time left over for tinkering, for exploration. And I think as soon as we get more people up there, more other scientists, people from whole different backgrounds, the inventiveness is just going to explode. I think the next century is going to be absolutely fantastic for humanity. But in that inventiveness, in solving those problems of living and existing in space, that sustainability of that, we are going to change the way we live here on Earth.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that will, because we have so many problems still on this planet?
Well, this is the thing, and it's interesting, and I'll give you my robot example. There's a lot of problems of having a robot working on the moon. And what we found is that if I have to solve all those problems of working on the moon with a robot, that robot technology that I'm developing will actually benefit resource utilization here on the Earth.
Wow.
So we talk about mining. Mining on Earth has been a very dirty, very environmentally unfriendly business. Okay, we're very aware of it now because nobody can go and hide in a corner and dig something. But that's what happened 200 years ago. There's a lot of old mines out there that are environmental catastrophes. Okay, that's not right. That's irresponsible. So from my point of view, the new technologies that we're developing in a more sustainable fashion, a more circular economy, are going to improve the way we use our resources here on Earth. So better recycling, better mining, better processing, all of that needs to be better, okay, for a more sustainable Earth. And I honestly believe in the next century we will probably get most of our heavy industry off this planet. We have a very precious biosphere. Okay, we have a human technology. It is currently competing with nature, natural technology. Okay, and one is winning right now, which is why our planet is hurting. So we kind of need to pursue this industrial development because this is our human industrial civilization, but we need to do it much more sustainably, much more responsibly. And I think we should stop competing so ferociously with our biosphere because it's a precious thing.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So back to that, with Bahamians saying that what we're seeing now could damage what we do have here in terms of our environment. What do you say to that, and how can you find the balance?
So the balance is the fact of pursuing space flight, of developing all of this. Okay, it is we're kind of following a path or a trajectory to get to that end point of sustainability. Okay. I do believe that all the rocket engineers out there, all the people developing, and I know we talk about Elon Musk and we talk about Jeff Bezos, these billionaires. They are not the people making the decisions. They're not the engineers. They're not the people who've joined these companies to make the world better. Okay, there's tens of thousands of engineers who believe that the environment is a precious thing and are pursuing space flight, and because of their firm belief that all of this technology that we're developing is going to make the Earth better.
Yeah.
So when I look at it from the point of view of the Bahamas, it's interesting. We are in a kind of a unique geographical location with respect to the United States. When you're launching into space, you need to get as close to the equator as possible. It gives you a little bit of a boost because you follow the rotation of the Earth, which is from west to east. So you launch from west to east. And the United States right now, as a spacefaring country, as a space power, is investing billions, if not tens of billions of dollars in two of its major launch sites. One is coast of Florida, and the other one is the southernmost point of Texas.
Right.
Okay. And it's interesting that for certain orbits or for certain trajectories, the Bahamas finds itself downrange of all of that. Now, the stuff coming out of Florida, and it's got a SpaceX label on it. It's called Falcon 9.
Right.
Okay, that's a commercially operational launch vehicle. It's launching satellites like Starlink. Okay, which and Starlink in itself, internet in the sky, communication for the entire world. That's going to be a benefit. As well. But when we look at just the commercial operations, Falcon 9 went through 15 years ago a series of test flights where they had plenty of anomalies. Okay, but they figured it out. SpaceX's method of try fast, fly, fail fast, learn quickly, make the improvements has given them a system now that they've had more than 400 flights. Okay, this is a very reliable vehicle that they're operating. And they've reduced the cost of access to space by 90%.
Wow.
Okay? So you imagine if something was 10 times cheaper than it was just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay? That's opening markets for people who would never have thought of space being useful to themselves. Yeah. So that's one benefit that's happening. Now, Falcon 9 launching out of Cape Canaveral for certain orbital trajectories, if they can land in the Bahamas, it saves them about 20% fuel. Okay? And so that's a benefit because that means they can either take more payload or they can do it for cheaper. Okay? And then that's going to open the market further. So SpaceX need the Bahamas for those launches. And I do believe that because there's a need there, we can look at some type of symbiotic relationship.
Right.
Okay? Now, so that's one thing. That's Falcon 9. Okay? Let's look at Texas. Because the other big launch site and it's a private site, it's being invested in by SpaceX, of which they're launching Starship. Now, Starship is a big beast. It is a 5,000-ton launch vehicle. It is the biggest flying object ever made by mankind.
My goodness.
Okay? And SpaceX are following their exact same methodology that they developed with Falcon 9 to try and get this Starship system working. They've had 8 flights so far. Unfortunately, 4 out of those 8 have just not gone successfully, but they are learning, and they're learning very quickly. And whereas NASA launch every 2 years with their big launch vehicles, SpaceX are launching every couple of months, even every 2 months. So they are learning much faster, and I expect that within a couple of months or even this year, they will have sorted out all those problems that have occurred to get a highly reliable system, reliable enough that they're going to eventually be able to put people on this. Okay? And so this is going to become the 747 of space.
Right.
So the 747 in the late 1960s opened up transatlantic, if not commercial aviation, for you and me. Okay, it wasn't. You remember we used to talk about the jet set.
Right.
Those rich people that could afford to go around the world. Okay, and then all of a sudden it was you and me thinking about doing going to London. Okay, and for a price that wasn't a journey of a lifetime. So if Starship gets operational, we're going to move from that era of astronauts to that era of citizen spacefarers.
Wow.
Okay, and so I'm very excited about that. But they're having a couple of problems right now, and I'm sure, and I really am positive about this. Those anomalies that SpaceX have been experiencing on Starship, that's a very bad day for them, because the Federal Aviation Administration has been pouring over all of their test flights, has been providing a severe degree of oversight in their operations. And I know that after the January anomaly, they had to do a lot of corrective actions to say, okay, we're not going to have this problem again. And they did a lot of ground testing. They did a lot of modifications to the vehicle. And so when Starship 8 failed and had that engine problem, I'm sure there was a lot of people, jumping up and down, hopping mad, and using very colorful language.
Yeah. So people, thankfully, no one's been hurt. But people are saying, I'm sure you've heard it. People are saying, well, this is all too dangerous. If somebody gets hurt, just cancel the whole thing. The Bahamas should have nothing to do with anything to do with SpaceX. What do you say to those who are feeling that way?
So a couple of things there. When I want to stress that this is a test flight. When these are done, these are not done haphazardly. Okay, these are highly controlled events. There is a lot of range safety. There's a lot of coordination with the Federal Aviation Administration, okay, to make sure, and even with the Bahamas. Bahamas has BANSA, the air traffic control. So they're aware of all of this, by the minute, by the second, in terms of what's going on, and can react appropriately. So there's never any danger for any air traffic. Okay, and actually, this is a good lesson in terms of how to coordinate space traffic with air traffic, because we're going to have to be doing this in the future. So getting the procedures right, getting the methods right, getting the communication right is all part of this learning process. But so far, so good. Okay, they've been doing this very, very well and very admirably. With regards to the trajectory, now when you do a test flight, you have to look at the range safety. You've got to look at what's downrange from where you're launching, okay, and what the impact of, if I got a problem at this point in my flight or a problem in that point in my flight, what's going to be the impact?
Right.
So first and foremost, the Starship flights have nothing to do with the Bahamas. I have to stress that.
Right.
What there's something called international space law, and in the 1950s and early 1960s, they defined that if you're above a certain altitude, you are outside of the sovereign jurisdiction of anybody that you're flying over. And they did this for satellites. Okay, so because you don't have to seek permission to fly over a country, even a hostile country. And so when SpaceX launched their Starship, by the time they're halfway across the Gulf of Mexico, they are basically a space object, and they can go wherever they want, okay, according to international law. So they even though they're overflying the Bahamas, they don't have to seek our permission to do that, okay? And we can't even say no, okay? How on the other stuff coming out of Florida, I think it is useful and beneficial for us to engage and to give our point of view with respect to what's happening at a Starship, because they've had some anomalies, okay, and we've noticed that some anomalies have affected the southern Bahamas, okay. So I think good engagement with this company is going to be beneficial, because we're going to get our point of view across, that we want to understand the safety implications, and and make sure that our citizens are well protected and defended.
Yeah. What should that look like, other than helping to clean up and all?
So, well, in terms of the helping to clean up, it's interesting. I came over here kind of on vacation. Well, it's a little bit of a pause. I work in Los Angeles. I still have lots of family here and lots of friends. When you go to St. John's, friends for life. So I was on my way to Germany and France, because I've got, with my robotics company, we're doing a trial deep underground in a couple of weeks' time.
Cool.
Well, a couple of weeks' time. Next week, actually. It was a couple of weeks' time, a few weeks ago.
Right.
But I happened to be here by accident, Okay, just as a stopover.
Yeah.
And so in seeing the problems, I got speaking with some of my friends, and they said, well, why don't you go and explain it to people? And so I've kind of been busy the past week or two, just getting on here to explain a point of view from an aerospace engineer's perspective, and particularly a Bahamian engineer's perspective, because the Bahamas is important to me. It's precious to me. I got nothing.
And not affiliated with SpaceX.
Well, I got nothing to do with SpaceX. I haven't even spoken to them. And so my opinion right now is my judgment.
Yeah.
In terms of what I'm seeing. However, there's plenty of data available on the internet, and for those in the know, I can analyze it. And I've seen SpaceX's planning, and they've been very meticulous in that. Even the trajectories that they've chosen are kind of threading the needle, making sure that they are not overflying any populated areas or any islands, in point of fact. It's interesting, though, but because the activity, and even when the anomaly happened, the material was burning up, that's 100 miles up. Okay, and when you have something that high, it's very visible from hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
So it seems close, but it's not. Okay, I know there was debris that fell in the Bahamas. What fell? Very inert thermal tiles, majority of that. Okay, and I think what was it? I was on Shanique Miller's show last week when they had finally, got to show some of the tiles.
Right.
And these things, by design, are extremely inert substances because they've got to protect the spaceship, and they've got to survive the heat of reentry. So anything that's surviving that reentry coming back in has got to be very environmentally benign as a result. Okay, so yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of a long answer.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, just to help some people who are asking questions. What does something like Starship carry when it's going up? You mentioned the types of fuel the rockets use.
Yes.
Like, what's it coming back down? I'm sure you saw a big ball of flames, and there might not be much fuel left after that. But
well, the fact of the matter is, because there's a big ball of flame, it means that all of that was burning up.
Yeah.
And very high up in the atmosphere. So there's no fuel coming down. All that's gone probably in the first couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And then most of the material that Starship is made of, because you were seeing that big glow there, that's all burning up as well.
Yeah.
So it's only dust that's being generated.
They mentioned stainless steel as a big component of the ship. What environmental problems could stainless steel cause?
Well, the reason it's called stainless, okay, is that it doesn't react with the environment.
Right.
Okay. We call it stainless because we used it for utensils, but it's corrosion resistant, the steel. And so that's the stuff that you find on your fittings on your boat as well. It's the same material.
And am I correct in saying, I think they recovered the first stage of that particular rocket?
They were very successful in recovering. That's part of the process of reusability, okay? Because I'll use a cliche, this is not your grandfather's rocket.
Right.
Okay, when the Americans and the Russians were in their space race, they were taking shortcuts to be the first, and that meant taking technical shortcuts as well, which was dumping stages. So a lot of those pieces of rockets have ended up in the Atlantic Ocean or somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that's throwing away millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars every launch. That makes no commercial sense. Okay. At the time, it was expedient, but nowadays we want to recover everything. And so that's why these rockets are recoverable, to be reusable.
Yeah.
And that's why they're going to be cheaper, because the cost of a 747 in a big aircraft, Boeing 747, is $300 million. Okay, imagine all the passengers having to pay the cost of the 747 to get to London. Imagine the price of the ticket.
Wow.
So when you start reusing stuff, things are going to get cheaper.
Right.
Yeah. And with the materials that were covered, tell us more about that. And we did note that DEP, the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, said that in the short term, this wasn't going to be any issue, but it did suggest that if they're there for longer, there might be. Is that what we're to take from that?
So I have spoken to one or two people in the department. I've kind of been going around, doing the circuit, giving my opinions. I don't know what they said. Okay, so I'm just going off of what you told me right now. I'll tell you from my point of view, the materials. So I know what Starship is made of. We spoke about the stainless steel. The other major component is the thermal protection system, which is basically heat tiles.
Right.
Okay, heat-resistant tiles, mostly, and they're made up of silica, stuff in sand, and a borosilicate, which is stuff. You remember Pyrex glass, same material. Okay, so it's made up of the same elemental constituents as sand or glass. And those are in kind of like styrofoam type tiles, and they're fairly light. So if these things were falling, they were falling like confetti. Okay, now they are extremely environmentally inert, and I'm just doing that from a chemical perspective. Okay, not having done any analysis. I think we should do some analysis. That would be really interesting. You trust what I'm saying, but let's go and do some verification. Never take anything for granted in life. But at least from my perspective, this stuff is very environmentally benign. It's very fragile as well. So that stuff, even last night's storm, if you had some heavy waves, that would chop that up and disintegrate that into dust.
But if I'm on a beach in Ragged Island or on a boat and one of those falls on me, would I be okay, or is it going to be an issue? What would happen?
So if one of those things falls on you, I don't know, it probably hurt. Okay, but it's a big ocean. The chances of something like that falling on you are going to be remarkably, and that is part of the analysis. So when SpaceX or any launch company has to do this, they have to look at the probability of harm, and so they do this risk assessment. They look at the area where this thing could potentially fall, and they say, well, 1 in a billion chance of that happening. It's the same methodology that we use for aviation and for aircraft. Okay, there's nothing new here.
Yeah.
All right. The fact of the matter is, we've had 100 years of aviation, and we've learned in those early years, things do crash, and some aircraft still crash nowadays. But every crash, every problem, every anomaly is a learning activity, and space has to go through that learning activity.
We are running out of time, but for the Bahamians out there who are saying all of this isn't worth it, space tourism, what's that all about? And sonic booms, we can't take any more of that. All the things we've been hearing over the past few weeks, what would be your final words to them, Dr. Jason Murray?
Okay. The sonic booms, I'm sure the thunder and lightning last night was much louder than that. Okay, I hear that rattles buildings. Okay, the sonic booms didn't. But just in terms of final words, it's a remarkable opportunity as the Bahamas to be part of a spacefaring endeavor. I think SpaceX are going to be a very important company for the 21st century. They're doing some amazing things, and a lot of these things are going to benefit humanity. And I do think there are some really interesting opportunities to get Bahamians involved in this. We don't necessarily need to be an observer of this stuff. I had to leave the Bahamas to go and pursue this. Now I think it's entirely probable that we can do high quality, high technology engineering in the Bahamas and open that up to a whole new generation of Bahamians.
Are you talking about industrial stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And is there the possibility for maybe a launch station somewhere in the Bahamas?
Why not?
One day?
Why not? I think if the assessments, because we've got to do our homework. Okay, let's make sure that the environment is protected. But why not? We are in a very unique and very wonderful part of the world, which could also be a gateway to the cosmos.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh, we're going to fight now.
Oh, boy. Dr. Jason Murray, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Hopefully, when you're back in the Bahamas, we can talk again. So much to discuss. But thank you for sharing some time with us this morning. Opening some eyes, I'm sure. Thank you again. Appreciate it. All right. We're going to break for news and be back with Morning Blend Business 9.
It's time to upgrade the way you enjoy at-home entertainment. Alive Fiber is here. Enjoy all your favorite channels and streaming apps, all at lightning-fast internet speeds with affordable bundles, and it's only a click away. Visit www.alivefiber.com to sign up now. Stay connected, live your life. It's good to be alive.
Everybody Wins Live is bringing you the ultimate giveaway, a brand new Cybertruck. For every $30 spent, you're in the drawing for the ultimate grand prize, a Cybertruck. Drawn live at the Vibes Cartel concert March 29th. You'll also be automatically entered to win tickets to see the world boss himself. 25 lucky winners every single week. Visit everybodywinslive.com to get into the game. See website for full terms and conditions. Must be 18 or...
Is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island. From October 2025 to April 2026, you can cruise visa-free from Panama aboard Royal Caribbean's Serenade of the Seas for 7-round trip sailing with direct flights from Nassau. Don't just cruise. Experience it all with Going Places Travel. Ask us today about our airfare, hotel, transfers, and sightseeing packages. Call us now at 393-6900 or visit us at any of our offices in Nassau, Freeport, Eleuthera, and Exuma to book your dream cruise vacation.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners.
Thank you.
Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards, and this morning we already see we're going to need a part 2 or maybe even part 3 of this. But we're talking about Campus, the new performing arts school. Here to tell us all about this, very pleased to have back with us project leader Ian Poitier. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us again.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me back.
It's been a little while since you were last on to talk about this, and you've gotten a lot further along. We heard this week that you are ready to go, basically. You heard a little bit of the discussion yesterday, I believe. But remind folks where we are right now and what's going to be happening over the next few months.
Okay. Good morning, and again, thanks for inviting me again. To start our first courses there. CAPAS is the Creative and Performing Arts School in the Bahamas. We will be focusing in this first term on the performing courses. So that's acting, dancing, and singing. We'll have 60 students, hopefully, for that first cohort, and then 40 students training in production arts. So that's hair and makeup, lighting, location management, possibly animation, and writing, possibly.
All of this will be happening in the first cohort?
In the first cohort. Now,
Wow.
it's slightly chicken and egg because it depends on who shows up.
Mhm.
But what's driving this decision is the career potential and the job potential. One of the things, so let me just back up slightly. A performing arts school, any sort of institution, is only worthwhile for what it does for people afterwards. People need careers, people need opportunities, people need jobs. So we've already started working on those career paths. And we are in discussion, advanced discussion, with a couple of international productions who want to come here to make one in particular TV series. They have 123 job opportunities for crewing that production. And I would like to have as many Bahamians trained as possible to fill those opportunities. And as I said in the press conference, I'm not talking about making coffee and driving people around. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's hard to progress in the industry from those. I'm talking about viable, sustainable jobs that go onto your CV that will mean something internationally.
That would be recorded here?
This is a series to shoot here.
Okay, all right.
And that opportunity came through United Talent Agency, which is was a big part of the announcement on Monday. They are one of the top 3 Hollywood agencies. And they're not kind of, I think when people hear agents, they think, okay, somebody who's just getting you a job.
Right.
Modern agencies are major kind of conglomerates. So apart from performing talent, they look after sports, they look after organizations, media companies, and so on. LinkedIn is one of their clients.
Oh, wow.
The agent I work with handles that. And so the agreement we have with them is huge. So they're helping us to design the modules to industry standard, which means that once you've gone through the training, people know that you are fit for the work. They're helping us to source people to teach those. A lot of the modules are quite short. So we'll have permanent staff here, but it might be a weekend in cinematography or something with the person who won the best cinematography Oscar or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're helping us to source those people. They're then bringing opportunities, like I said. They're helping us to create a register of talent. So once Bahamians qualify, you go into this register, and any production knows, okay, that person's available to do this. I need that skill. I need somebody who can cut 1920s black hair. Say how much you.
Okay.
So they're helping us with the register. They're helping us to set up a film fund, so for people to invest in Bahamian talent, Bahamian stories. They're helping to set up a production hub. So what do we need to actually make things work here? We lack infrastructure and studio space. And then they're helping us with an advisory board, which are people in the industry who have influence, who have money, who have contacts, but also can guide us and say this is what the industry needs.
Okay, so we have so much to talk about because there's a lot going on now. But as you might have heard yesterday when you're listening, people are looking at it from the ground level, basically. Lots of questions about this being a tertiary institution as opposed to secondary or primary, and the need for a feeder system. Let's get into that.
Okay.
Why the decision to do a tertiary institution as opposed to a secondary, perhaps?
So we actually discussed this last year, I think.
Right, we did.
They're absolutely right. It's fundamental to the whole thing. Tertiary for a number of reasons. If you're not of legal age of consent, then putting you through a professional drama course is challenging. It's mentally, psychologically difficult. If you have to go home and ask mommy if I can, take my top off, I shouldn't say that, but if you have the independence.
Kissing a boy on the stage.
But more seriously, you're addressing big psychological areas. When I was a drama student, I remember one lesson which ended up being very emotional because it turned out half the class came from families where the parents were divorced, and there was an issue about divorce and issues in the family and so on. That's quite intense. So you get into issues of safeguarding and guardianship and so on. So that's the decision for now, and we can extend that. But we've already started working for the under 18s. So unfortunately, Minister Glenys Hannon-Martin couldn't be here, and she's the kind of guiding inspiration of all of this. But in the school, the arts program is already being developed, and that's going to the core curriculum as well as kind of external activities. But,
so that's going to be a part of
that's already
this.
happening. That's already happening. So there's the feeder. The program which I would like to put in place is the link. So when students finish, say, at around age 16 or so on, that there's something for them to do to get them to 18 and get into that tertiary level. I think there's also an opportunity to do something with the National Arts winners. So if you come in the top 3 of the National Arts Festival, you've already invested a lot of time and energy and talent into that. Let's take those top 3 winners and put them through a program. So we can say, okay, this is a possible career path for you. By the time you get to being an adult, it's something for you to consider. Nobody comes out of the womb knowing how to play Tchaikovsky or whatever. So there's just a craft level that has to happen. All those, children going to Saturday morning dance classes and after-school debate competitions and all of that. That needs supporting and nurturing. That's how you get that.
Yeah.
So so the feeder system is kind of obvious, and similarly, in the same way you need a career path afterwards, you need a pathway into it. So even though that's not central to CAPAS, that's what we're working on.
Right.
You may have seen recently the government supported the Dundas, and it's on the similar principle.
Mhm.
So apart from the fact that it is in itself a community space that's worthy of support, I think that's where most people get their first time in front of a big audience. I want to do this for the rest of my life. And that's why you get such committed people around it.
Yeah. And there is no upper age limit.
No.
So you can, if you always wanted to be an actor and you're 50 something now.
So yes, Dwight. When you turn on your TV, there's people of all ages there, right?
Absolutely.
And so there's opportunity, and it's necessary. Otherwise, you get a bunch of 30-something people on the screen, and you can't tell stories beyond that. I have a friend in the UK who ran a series of very successful gym franchises in Asia. Major businessman. He's retired, came back, and now he makes a very good living as an extra. He's in like every movie because he's got that grey hair and that grey beard and stuff. And his life is great. He wakes up whenever, goes in, hangs around the set for a few hours, and they say action and cut, and goes home and, well fed and met some new people.
Wow.
Met some stars even. So it is a cradle to grave activity, and it's no surprise that most people in the creative industries have portfolio careers, so they're doing other things as well. Nothing is guaranteed, no matter how good you are, no matter how experienced you are, how well trained you are. So there's always other things you need to do, and I think that's helpful as well. It gives you independence, it gives you agency in your life.
Yeah. All right, so you're saying that you are hoping to have the first cohort begin in the fall, September?
Yes.
And we heard the Phil's supermarket, the store is weird, but you need 5 to 7 million. Is that right?
No,
that's not it?
The story's gone upside down.
Okay, let's hear what the reality is.
So there's two things to that. One is the space, and then one is the kind of cost.
Okay.
So space is always the kind of prime consideration. It's not defining. You can teach in a hut if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So the space isn't the be all and end all. We need an open space, secure structure where we can put in a lot of studios. So studios basically sprung flooring, mirrors, maybe a ballet bar, piano, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a production studio, you need equipment like this, some fancy boards and screens and so on. So that's what the need is. Looked around several spaces, mostly ones that are already on the government books, and Phil's Supermarket, the government owns already.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an option. People are talking about the Shirley Street Theatre as an opportunity, as an option, and they clearly haven't been there. It's built as a cinema.
Yeah,
it has a sloping
definitely
floor.
can't be teaching anything in there.
You can't even be performing anything in there. It's a dangerous space. It has a sloping floor. There's no windows. It's unsafe. And if you were to develop it, you would have to deal with the area as well. So the traffic management around there is a nightmare. I mean, I did go and look at it, but it's not viable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more fundamentally, it's a performing space. It's not a teaching space.
Right.
So that came up as an option in the supermarket. I like it for a lot of reasons. The structure is sound, the external structure. You can do whatever you want inside. It's got high ceilings as well, so the airflow is good. We can have a studio theatre in there, but also Gladstone Road. There are plans to make that into a dual carriageway, so facilitate the traffic flow. But also all the other ancillary businesses are going to come out from this. So when you build a school, you get cafes and restaurants and laundromats and all the things that young people need to kind of keep going. Well, I shouldn't say young people, that people need to be students in the school. So that will hopefully be a real kind of regenerative catalyst for the area.
Yeah.
And it's also accessible. So I'm hoping we can run buses from town, so on, so that people can come from wherever and be a part of it.
So is it going to need much renovations?
So to your money point,
right.
What I said was that the government's indicated that they're willing to support the renovation from about 5 to 7 million.
Okay.
I would like more.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to sort out probably the interior, which is the important thing. So to actually rescale that, I think the building should be beautiful. And so we have some concept drawings put together where you can put a front piece on, and it looks quite stunning, and kind of steel and so on, glass thing. Landscape it properly.
Where it
so
looks
that
like a
it's
real
kind of- it looks
performing
like a real
arts school.
performing
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we don't need all that on day one.
Right.
There's budget period coming up. There's a lot of things competing. You're always up against health and education and roads and all those other things. But the government has made a commitment to do this. It's part of the Blueprint for Change. There's a cabinet agreement. It's something that young people especially have wanted for a long time. I mean, this idea came to me from Winston Saunders and Clement Bethel, who said to me, when you come back home, Yeah, it is a while. But they said, make a school because this is where you start. If you want an orange economy, if you want a creative sector, then people need to be trained. There's no point having amazing buildings or amazing opportunities when you haven't got the training to do it.
And you mentioned when this first launched, when the idea was first brought to the Bahamian people, that there were other private donors who were kind of ready to go. Are they still around?
Yes.
Yeah.
News will be forthcoming.
Yeah, okay, all right, cool.
So we're staging a whole series of announcements because there's a lot to say. And, I kind of, the conversation around money always hijacks it.
Yeah.
And I was saying to journalists on Monday, whatever figure I give you doesn't mean anything because you don't know what you're going to get for it.
Right.
So understand the value of it, understand what the investment is, and then let's see what we can do for it. The government supports the University of Bahamas with about 30 million. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It's just what they need to. And they still need to raise money on top of that.
Yeah.
Raising money for educational institutions is entirely kind of, normal kind of activity. And you cut your cloth. If we only have 5 to 7 million to renovate, then that's what we'll do. Yeah. We have some plans. And, it doesn't have to all be done on day one. If we need to do a bit more next year, that's fine. But the thing is to get started, to get going, to do the thing inside that's going to make the difference.
Yeah. So what can you have done between now? It's practically April and September, and with that budget, how will that work?
There's stuff being stored in there at the moment. So custom stuff, education out, and then inside you've got to put. I don't know the word, but that's sort of interior walls.
Those partitions.
Those partition things. Some of them need to be soundproof, some don't. I'm trying to get sponsorship, already having conversations of sponsorship for flooring, particularly mirrors and pianos, so fixtures and fitting stuff. You want to sort out the bathrooms and showers. These aren't major things. A lot of that infrastructure is there already in terms of the exterior structure. And then systems, so security, IT, and all of that. Talking to a big American broadcaster about supplying the TV and radio equipment for the studio. So all those things kind of, it's a jigsaw. But to your question, what can we get done? We can have the basic studio set up. We can have, a building.
By September.
It's studios and offices. It's not, it's not difficult.
When I listened to an interview you did yesterday, you mentioned people to teach.
Yeah.
And then I thought, wow, September's close to find enough people. I mean, how's that looking as well?
So we have a whole timetable and syllabus, and that's what we needed to do first.
Right.
In terms of the permanent teaching staff, with 60 students, so that's 20 acting, 20 singing, 20 dancing. This first year will be a foundation year, and everybody will do a little bit of each.
Okay.
Each of those 20 will be broken into 2 groups of 10. So you'll have the ones who are, the sort of top tier, and then you have the ones who maybe that's their second specialization. So that's you've got to have 2 teachers. That's 6 teachers in those disciplines for full time.
Okay.
And then you've got visiting workshops, masterclasses, and so on. So it's not heavy. So if you take that for acting, dancing, singing, that's 18 people.
Gotcha.
All of these people in the industry are used to, I teach here in the morning, I teach here in the afternoon, or whatever. So it's a sort of fluid. Bahamians obviously are first choice, first preference. So, and it's a small community, so we know a lot of people who are out there. But it'll be open, there'll be auditions for performers, open interview for practitioners, even if we want to see some evidence of experience or whatever. Yeah. Safety is important. You can't unleash people who are well-intentioned but don't have safe practices. And by safe, I don't just mean physically, but emotionally, psychologically safe. So it's a lot to do. I mean, I'm not belittling the ambition, I'm not belittling the effort.
Yeah.
But if you don't reach high, you don't get high.
All right, so tell us more about this. So it's a tertiary institution. Does that mean what? Is it 4 years? Do I get a degree at the end of this? Is it just so I can get a job in the industry? What are we looking at?
So it's conservatoire teaching. And if you think of the BTVI model, they're another one of our partners, that kind of will make it kind of come more alive. So this first year, as I said, is a foundation year where we get a diploma. For conservatory teaching, it's generally 3 years. Sorry. It's generally 3 years. And so at the end, we are looking to get accredited with a sister organization, a partner organization, to have a BA Hons. In early conversation with UB, maybe to do a Bachelor of Fine Arts, but that has a big academic component. So you kind of will build that as we go along. But people will have something, depending on the length of course. It might be a diploma, associate's degree, or BA. that's not really the important thing with conservatoire model. Nobody's ever asked to see it. You go into an audition, nobody wants to see your paper. But we will build these things as we go. You know, UB is still dealing with accreditation after quite a long time. We are probably going to be quicker than, well, we will be quicker than that.
Oh boy.
One of the interesting things is when talking to partner institutions around the world, everyone's really interested in the Bahamas. You know, we're very accessible for the United States and Europe, and so it kind of makes sense to have a center of excellence in the Bahamas, and people are very interested in that.
Yeah.
And some names you'll recognize.
All right, so tell us about the audition process, or when will that be open? What can you say now?
So from next month,
Next
stuff
month,
will go up.
as in April.
As in April.
Mhm.
Auditions will follow standard process. So you'll submit, and then you'll be called and you're given a time slot, depending on what it is. But for the foundation year, we'll see a little bit of everything. So your general day starts with a dance audition. You get a number pinned to you. You follow the choreography, and that's it. Or we teach a class. And then you probably do an acting piece. You'll be given time to prepare things, and there'll be suggestions given. Something. And
If you're a writer, what would you do?
we don't audition writers in that way,
Okay.
and they won't come in at this stage. But for writers, submit a piece of work, and then generally you'll get given an assignment to do. So I actually taught a pilot writing course last year, October to December, and 22 people showed up on the first day, and there were
Wow.
still 16 by the end. Fantastic cohort of people, amazing, with different ideas.
This is
huge amount
TV
of-
writing or
This is
movie
writing for
writing?
performance.
Okay.
So they were working for stage and screen.
Ah, okay.
Did we have one radio submit? I think so. Yes, we did. So it was inviting people who had backgrounds, say, in journalism or in presenting morning talk shows
Oh, really?
or whatever. And there were some, I think, former colleagues who came along. And the idea was to translate that basic writing skill into writing for character and plot and dialogue and so on. So telling stories in those media. And the reason I did that is because the storytelling is foundational to this. We want to have our stories ready for students to rehearse with when they get into the school. So, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And you can see from a writing sample kind of where somebody is. So that's the audition process for staff. Generally, application interview. It's not kind of complicated. You know, you want to get people's credentials, but you want to get a sense of them. You also want to build the team. So you don't want the same type of personality kind of dominating.
Right,
Otherwise,
right.
the school kind of gets weird. So you want you want some people who are quite passionate and up there, and then you want some people very steady and and easy.
So costs, how much will it cost to go to campus?
So for Bahamians, there is no cost. It's free.
Oh, wow.
Yes, as in it's no cost for tuition. That's a commitment the government's made to all tertiary education in the country. So put us alongside UB and BAMSI and BTVI, and that's just sort of blanket. What I am very focused on is raising money for care packages for students, so that the cost of the transport, buying your training clothes, music books, scripts, and all of that. I'm working out that cost and then inviting donors to sponsor X number of students, and people are very open to that, very, very open. I'm hoping as well that if they want it, that those people have a relationship beyond the school. So if that person sponsored me to help, that they were taking interest in keeping the relationship going.
Right.
And for a lot of wealthy people here with a lot of time as well as money, that's an attraction.
What size of a campus gonna be? What you hope to see it become?
So I would like it to be a center of excellence for the Bahamas, for the Caribbean region, and ultimately for the Commonwealth. And so that means something that grows to be quite sizable. I think in terms of the growth curve, we're going to get a lot of interest at the beginning, and then that will tail off into something normal as each generation comes through. I don't know what those numbers are at the moment. There is a dropout rate. People do a year of this, 6 months of this, and decide this is not for me. There are also people who spend years raising families or having jobs or whatever who come in late and decide that they want to do it. So it's hard to call. We'll certainly probably operate across more than one campus, certainly in Family Islands or whatever. But also the production suites will need to be off campus because that site, even though it's generous, is not going to be big enough.
Right.
I don't know ultimately, and this is where so this year will tell us a lot. If we have a huge level of interest, I will do what we can to take in more people than 100. Don't want to overheat by going too big too soon.
Right. Yeah.
We've got to test it. Things are going to go wrong. It's a new organization, and so you don't want to have to manage a lot of student movement and so on. while you're trying to fix some stuff. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't want people to be disappointed. We won't invite people in who clearly have no prospect of making it in whatever they're applying for.
Yeah.
So even though, everyone tells you you're really good when you sing, if clearly you can't have a career based on that, we're not going to encourage that. But we might encourage some other participation in the music industry because there's options.
Right.
We're talking with Ian Poitier with CAPUS, the Creative and Performing Arts School. All right, so creative and performing arts. Many will say, hey, Junkanoo. For Junkanoo here?
There's big place. And again, we talked about that last year. So the Junkanoo arts and crafts are going to feed through this. So we want to invite international students to be here. But if you come from wherever, you're going to still have to learn stuff. So if you're doing costume, Junkanoo costuming will be a part of that. Okay. If you're doing, on a music course, then learning drums or whatever is going to be a part of that. It's not going to be a separate Junkanoo thing. Although that might be a consideration. But I would prefer that it was just part and parcel of the DNA. So when you do, I trained in the UK, and you just had to do some kind of British stuff in that, no matter where you were from. I would have a hope for a similar thing for the Bahamas. Like it's Bahamian.
Do you expect? I don't know, when you talk about writing, performing, do you expect that a lot of this will turn into local production stuff or international production stuff? Or
Both.
Where people's heads at in terms of developing?
I think at the most basic level, we should have the best Sunday school programs ever. We should have the best sort of primary school programs, but definitely international. So straight after this, there's a commitment by the government to build a centre for the performing arts. And within a centre, you need resident companies. So it's a resident acting, dance, music company or whatever. And those companies should tour internationally as well as perform locally.
Wow.
So they become living billboards for our culture.
Yeah.
And the sort of visioning of it, for example, we could do an exchange with Turkey. You bring their sort of national group in, we go there. But it means that the Bahamians get to have a bigger sort of footprint.
Right.
So that's on a kind of government level. There's a lot of entrepreneurship opportunities as well. I would love to see some theatre and education where performing groups go around schools. Doing some conflict-based stuff is really popular. So you say, you have a gang and they do a fight, you stop the scene. Okay, what would you do next? And then the actors respond to that. There's entertainment opportunities. There's a constant complaint that we don't have enough to do here. Well, guess where the stuff to do comes from? The creative industries.
Yeah.
So you also can't really predict what people are going to do, and that's part of the glory of it.
Yeah.
But with a certain amount of training, there's business training and entrepreneurship alongside that. But with the kind of right sort of training, and I hope kind of magic that happens when creative people get together, there'll be options and opportunities. Yeah. The agreement with UTA is our pathway to international careers.
You mentioned the conflict resolution. I'm sure you know about that. Prisons all over the world.
Yes.
The programs that they have.
West Side Story.
Violent offenders who have transformed their lives.
Absolutely.
Getting involved in the arts. Let's see if we can squeeze this call in really quickly, caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Well, you left us. Okay. We're getting some messages. People want to send messages to you privately, I guess to be a part of CAPUS. But we're going to have you back, I guess, closer to
There's more to say. There's some news which I'm not sort of being too open with at the moment. But there's significant interest internationally in this. And there are people who have relationships with Bahamas and Bahamians who want to support this. There are options and opportunities which I can't talk about at the moment because it's not defined. I want to talk more about the relationship with BTBI because I think that unlocks a whole other sort of section of activity.
Okay, that sounds good.
So invite me back.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if we can get this caller in. Good morning, caller. You got about 20 seconds.
Oh, yes. Good morning, Mr. Strong. Good morning, guys. I just want to ask, I guess, how many guaranteed sustainable jobs does he see this amount of money guaranteeing? Because show business is a business where, you know what I mean, it's an iffy business. And also because, $7 million just to renovate the building. I think it's like $360,000 per annum to pay the individuals there. I feel as if we need to get a guaranteed thing because then, if not, then the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to have a private studio for someone on Gladstone Road. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll just give one response to that if I've got time, which is say, fundamentally, you've got to think that the creative economy is a good thing. And fundamentally, you've got to think that training people to be excellent in that creative economy is a good thing. If you don't think that, which is a very respectable point of view, then we disagree. There are no guarantees in life for anything, anytime,
Is the tourism
anywhere.
industry,
And,
are there guarantees in the tourism sector, the banking sector? Where are the guarantees?
But I make no apology for having spent my life in the creative industries and been very, fortunate as a result of it. I want that for everybody.
Yeah.
Is this eventually gonna stop people from coming here and making us speak like Jamaicans when they talk about the Bahamas in cinema?
Look at it another way. So first of all, our Bahamian accent will get stronger.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why British people work a lot in Hollywood, because that kind of training, that conservatoire training, makes you kind of you can do a lot of accent work.
Yeah.
A lot of variety.
Oh yeah.
I got a new accent.
No one's gonna get your joke.
Yeah, well,
he's been doing this
good
weird Barbadian Bayesian thing because he was in Barbados covering this story.
It's very persuasive.
Thank you.
You can read about his story. Afro-Exim Bank establishing roots in the region, breaking ground on a trade center right there in Bridgetown.
Bridgetown, yeah.
Yeah, all right. That's in there today,
Bridgetown.
along with many other stories in today's Guardian Business section, folks. Pick that up. This portion of the show brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations in Portia. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, and we're looking forward to finding more about CAPAS over the next few months.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chester.
Always a pleasure, Dwight. No, I didn't get that one.
Just for that, you might be back before next week. I'll be back tomorrow morning, though, with more Morning Blend. That was okay. Morning Blend business. Get him into CAPAS, right? Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green next.
All those loans I had were so overwhelming. Fidelity's debt consolidation loan combined all my loan payments into one easy payment with a built-in savings plan that pays me unbeatable interest. It's time to make that move to Fidelity. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity for you.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Spain sounds like this. But with a little Caribbean, it can sound like this. The world needs more Caribbean. And with FedEx, you can ship your products to every corner with increased cargo capabilities, 24/7 shipment tracking, and shipping tools. Take your business worldwide and enjoy life a bit more like us.
Spring into savings with BWF. March Madness Spring Clearance and Tent Sale, Saturday, March 29th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get up to 50% off. If you're spring cleaning, home improvement, gardening, barbecuing with friends and enjoying the outdoors, remodeling your kitchen or need new appliance, get hopping with BWF. You don't want to miss. Slash prices and great buys on appliances, power tools, generators, compressors, water pumps, hardware, lawn and garden supplies, barbecue grills, household kitchen and outdoor cooking supplies, automotive supplies and accessories, craft supplies, floral decor, clearance on all toys, and much more. BWF, we are more than just our name. Number 13 Wilton Street, telephone 394-0004 or 6. Check us out on Facebook, and we ship to the Family Islands.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.